Okay, this would be day 4, deceleration. If you notice, we got decent lighting over here. Made some change ups, and I'm looking good right now. It might be the hoodie, but hey, maybe I'm tripping. But quick updates: I will be working at this facility, and honestly, I'll work probably 20 to 30 hours at this facility every week. And I know what you're thinking. Yeah, no more training athletes for free. Time to get some compensation, my guy. Okay, it's about time. But it'd be cool because it's mainly volleyball, and my job on my end is to bring in more football players, which that should be easy, or it should be easier now that I'm at a facility. And really, there's free range of how to do things. Like, you can literally do either a mix of strength training with movements, purely strength training. Then they have certain days called flush, where it's recovery work, or almost pre-game or pre-tournament weekend type of work. So a lot of topics that are going to come up into these videos. So good stuff. Stay tuned, and I'm excited for real. But anyways, with deceleration, right, the easiest way to think about this is just a simple analogy of a car that only has good gas, good horsepower, but no brakes, right? And what happens if there's no brakes? There's no security when you're driving this vehicle. Okay, it's not that crazy of an analogy, but it's the simplest way to think about deceleration, especially because what you notice is speed training is like people put what's a good analogy for this? People put a lot of eggs in the basket of speed training. Oh, if I get faster, X will happen for me. If I get faster, then Z will happen for me. If I get faster, and this tangent I'm about to go on is part of this topic, because think about the NFL Combine. Why do the fastest guys, honestly, why do not even half of them pan out? I'm not saying speed is overrated, but I'm also saying that speed is concerningly misunderstood, right? Speed in a pure linear fashion is honestly not as applicable and functional to sports that require change of direction. Track and field, cool. That's all y'all do. That's all y'all know, right? Take a track athlete and put him on a football field. You know what you're gonna see? No matter how fast this track athlete is, they are not able to break down. They're not able to slow it down in a timely manner within 3 to 5 steps. And then, after they slow down, being able to transition out of it, almost re-accelerate, right? So that's why my theory on the drawbacks or the misconceptions about speed training is, listen, if I get faster, and if I only focus on getting faster and faster, what does that mean? On the back end, on the other side, I have to improve my ability to decelerate, to slow down, to actually control this speed. Speed you can't control is speed you will never use in the case of change of direction sports. Again, speed that you can't control is speed that is useless, pretty much. So that was my little tangent on that. And now into the nuts and bolts, okay, or the X's and O's about, or the biomechanics about deceleration, whatever you want to call it. Really, when it comes down to training deceleration, the first thing that the athlete has to understand is weight distribution, or the posture, right? What happens if somebody's always sitting back on, like if their weight shifted back more, they're gonna take more steps because their body is trying to stay in place, when really your weight should be forward, because when you're decelerating, you're more so like slowing down to speed back up, right? And so you want to keep your body in the position that it would be in when it has to speed back up. You see what I'm saying? Because if I'm running, I try to slow down, and then I try to redirect myself into a 90, a 45, or you know what I mean? If my weight is back and then I slow down, I have to come here, then come back out of it. Or I could put myself in this position, in a good position right here, slow down, and then come back out. By being in a good posture, good shape, good position, you eliminate more steps that honestly just waste time. You see what I'm saying? Especially as you get into higher levels of this, it's those minor things that matter. Okay? And then another thing you'll see is, this is really with football, but I'm sure you can see it in every sport, is when people snap down, you'll see their hips are here, or their hips are kind of high, and their lower body will just close, or their lower back will just close, almost like a door hinge, right? Just throwing yourself like this constantly, understand this, the body lays tracks. So if you're building some sort of compensation pattern like that, guess what? Your low back is going to fucking hurt eventually, because you're using it to slow down, versus sinking into your hips, which, another tangent, is severely undertrained. Severely. It's at a point where this goes into other topics like therapy, injury restoration. If almost 8 to 9 times out of 10, if someone comes to you with an ankle, a knee, a hamstring, a low back type of or related problem, usually the place to look at is the hips. Usually they're just underdeveloped, right? And why? It's because people never actually access them. And what happens? The body asks other things to make up for the lack of access in the hip. So that's why you see the ankle joints, the knee joints, even the low back doing or getting the blunt of the work when it shouldn't. Okay? And if there's one thing that is the hardest to train, to be honest, it's deceleration. Because it's so, like, sprinting is violent in nature because it requires so much intent coming out of it. But as you get to higher levels, you start to see that guys that can slow down the best, you see just how violent it is, or how intense it is to be able to go from full speed, and not even to a complete stop, but full speed, slow down, and come back out of it. And come out of it with speed too. Like, that's when it gets elite. And there's a lot to this. There is a ton to this, okay? But yeah, I pretty much went over the main points. I went over my theories, my perspectives. This was as raw and uncut as it could be. Plenty of stuttering, plenty of fucking minor tweak out moments, if you will. But yeah, that'll be all. Tomorrow we'll go change a direction, and then we'll see where we go from there.